His skin is white just like a ghost, thick Irish roots and his blonde hair. And he sounds like a Chicago superfan, a music nerd with a collection of CDs from here to there. Yes, Andy Dare is in Chicago, interviewing and barbecuing. It's the Andy Dare Show. It's the Andy Dare Show.
Welcome to the Andy Dare Show. This is episode 148, and I am joined by Jay Porks. If you're any kind of fan of the network, you know that Jay Porks puts on a great podcast. He does it weekly. It's called the Jay Porks Experience, and it posts Tuesday nights right here at the Dare Network. You can find it at jporks.com. If you're a music fan, if you like comedy, if you are a waiter or a server in real life, this is something you will be able to relate to and laugh along with it. And yeah, Jay's a great guy. I've known him for a couple of years now. He helped me get an interview with Chris Kirkwood back in 2012, and that's how we met. He is the social media guy for the Meat Puppets, one of America's finest bands for the past 30 years. And yeah, we're going to have a Meat Puppets-based episode where we discuss our both of our times checking out the Meat Puppets and Soul Asylum tour that has been rocking America for the past month or so. And I saw him in Chicago at the House of Blues, and he saw them in New York City at the Bowery Ballroom. So we give our each of our experiences, and we have articles written about them. Check them out at andydare.com and at jporks.com and at concertconfessions.com. Jay's a nice guy. He took the time out of his day to chat with me, and I would highly recommend the podcast. I wouldn't be hosting it on the Andy Dare Show's iTunes feed if I did not love the podcast. It's a great chat. He does about an hour a week, and I've had great comments about it. But yeah, if you like the Jay Porks Experience, tell a friend, share it on social media, post it on Facebook. You guys are the only way of advertising that we've got. So word of mouth is the only thing. And we appreciate everybody that has spread the word about the Jay Porks Experience. In other news, I want to thank everybody who has checked out Tape Tuesday. It's a brand new thing I've been doing for 2015 on my Instagram account. That's at Andy Dare. Every Tuesday night I take a picture, an artsy photograph, if you will, about one of my cassettes from my collection. About 20 years ago in 1995, I started collecting tapes. My mind was blown by music, but it was kind of an allowance thing. If I mowed the lawn or did something like that, I'd get a tape. So, of course, I mowed the lawn and I did my chores. However, my parents would not let me get CDs. They thought they were too expensive, too lavish at the time, so I got cassettes. I was the laughingstock of my 5th grade. However, it's really cool that I kept all these cassettes, and now people have been sending me cassette collections, people from all over the country. I want to really thank everybody who sent me a cassette collection. I know it can't be cheap to ship these things. So yeah, this week I got a weird tape. I got Bill Cosby's For Adults Only. Say what you will about the man. Turns out doesn't seem like such a great guy, but it's an interesting cassette to have in the collection. And thank you so much to everybody who's checked out the Instagram account at Andy Dare. Also, I got a new podcast called Spin Class with me and Tyler Kale. We totally dissect a hip-hop album, a classic hip-hop album from the 80s and 90s once a week. We got a couple episodes already done. You can find that at spinclasspodcast.com. Executively produced by Giovanni Giorgio, superfan to Adam Carolla, and awesome artwork by Dan Corhonen. Just check it out. We got the Fugees, The Score. That's the latest episode right now. We're working on getting more episodes and getting a sponsor. Thank you so much to everybody who's checked it out. And yeah, I thought I'd keep my intro short this week. I got a nice, long, in-depth discussion regarding the Meat Puppets with the one and only Jay Porks. So without further ado, my episode 148, pleased to meet you with special guest Jay Porks. much for checking out the Andy Dare Show. Today it is episode 148. I'm joined by a reoccurring guest and a Dare Network broadcaster, Jay Porks. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How about you, player?
Doing pretty well. Yes, enjoying summer here in Chicago. We're having some crazy storms, but the heat hasn't been so bad, so I'll take storms over heat any day.
Yeah, it's pretty nice out today. It was hot the other day, but I'm not going to complain. As long as it's not snowing, I'm good.
Like, I talked to my friends out on the West Coast, and they've had, 1 hour of rainfall in 380 days or something like that.
Wow.
And how can that be good for you? And it's funny because all the people on the left coast, they look so healthy and so adjusted. And how do they do that? I thought water is important for health, right?
Gotta be the kale. And in California, they've mastered techniques of indoor growing, so maybe they've started growing some vegetables as well. I don't know.
I believe so, but yeah, I would like to visit there. I don't want to live there. I like where I'm at. And, New York has temperate weather, too, so it's all good. Yes, I thought we would have a Meat Puppets-centric episode. I mean, we've obviously always talked about the Meat Puppets, but we never really gave a full episode to the guys. I just saw them 2 weeks ago. You just saw them on Monday night. So I thought, why not strike while the iron is hot? And, you got a brand new article going, detailing your night out with the Meat Puppets and Soul Asylum. You can find that at concertconfessions.com. I was going to ask you, how did the whole thing with Concert Confessions come about? How did you meet the guys over at CC?
Well, Concert Confessions is the only place on the interwebs that you're getting live music, news and reviews for the fans, by the fans. Let me just put that out there. But, no, here's what happened. A couple of years ago, it was probably back in the halcyon days of MySpace, old school, and I was writing blogs, complaining about my day, basically what a Facebook post would be, basically what Twitter does for everybody now. That's why there's less blogs and there's more people tweeting, because you can complain, you can get off quicker complaints there, and then not have to sit down and write a detailed blog post about it. So I was writing blogs, and then one time I went to the show. I went to see Stone Temple Pilots. It was their first time coming back, and they were at PNC Bank Art Center with Filter and Ashes Divide. I don't know why I remember that name, but I remember it. And I saw them, and I wrote the blog on MySpace, and this guy Justin Watt got in touch with me, and he said, "Listen, I got this thing going on over here, where we got a bunch of people who are writing, who are going to shows and they're sharing their pictures and, whatever words they got to say about it. And, at the time I wasn't even taking videos, really. And he said, why don't you post here and, your stuff gets read and we share it and, everyone's friendly. So, okay, no problem. So I started posting there. And I don't know when around, the 10th or 11th show I went to, I became a Concert Confessions regular, where I kept going to shows, and I kept hitting shows, and I started to talk to some of the guys, especially the guy who runs it, Justin Watt, who maintains it, who was his creation, created in his garage in the summer of 2000, I don't know when.
Nice.
And there's a bunch of people, there's a bunch of people, like I say, we got Darby down in St. Louis, we got Bobby Dren down in St. Louis, who else we got? We got Meredith out in Salt Lake City, I want to say. I don't know if she's still in Utah, the Mormon state.
And Concert Chick, right?
We got Concert Chick. I'm not sure which state she's actually in, but she's covering everywhere from freaking whatever's north to Indianapolis, and she's got all that. Chicago, Illinois, all that whole area. She's driving, she's hitting shows.
I think she's down south Illinois, but 4 hours from Chicago or something like that. But she has quite a radius of traveling, right? She goes all over the place.
She puts in work, and you know what? I mean, I wish I had the kind of job where I can have time to take a long trip. Meat Puppets would tell them to come out to Denver.
That's why I like living in the suburbs, too. I mean, I'm literally 25 minutes from the inner city, but I'm away from the city at the same time. It's a breath of fresh air when you do leave the city, but you do want to be close to it because that's where everything's going down. So
that's kind of Staten Island. I'm not in the city, but I can get to the city. But I'm not in the city.
You got trees still.
Yeah, there's trees and stuff. Yeah, there's grass. It's not at all.
I always like when you guys say on Long Island. I wish I was on Westmont, Illinois. Instead
Yeah,
of in it.
well, you're either on Long Island, because the thing is, Long Island, there's Long Island, and on Long Island is actually Brooklyn and Queens, and the rest of it is Long Island. But then after Brooklyn, there's Staten Island. Staten Island's actually a separate thing from Long Island. It's its own separate entity. Staten Island's bigger than Rhode Island, somebody told me.
Is it really? Jeez.
I mean, I'm gonna have to see that on the bottom of a Snapple cap before I believe it.
Nice.
But I mean, I don't know. That's crazy. But yeah, like we're not in the city, and I'm like, it's sort of suburban. Yeah, but I'm on an island. Yeah, you gotta pay to get on tolls both ways.
Nice. But yeah, with Concert Confessions, it seemed like they give you a lot of freedom. On where I write, they don't allow me to do first person anymore. I didn't get that. So yeah, I like how you're able to just tell your experiences firsthand.
Well, that's the thing. Here's the thing about Concert Confessions, and this is why I love it so much. This is the essence of what Concert Confessions is. It's not, nobody works there. You know, we're all just sharing our thoughts as a fan. So it's not, I mean, some might say, well, then you're never going to read a bad review. Yeah, well, nobody's really going to see up-and-coming new bands, and that's not sort of the thing we're doing there. We're not getting paid. We don't have, I mean, listen, if we had some financial company backing us, if we had Heineken pop-up ads on our website, like some other websites do, and music playing, maybe we'd go to some shows and we'd take some chances and write some bad reviews. But what we do is, as fans, we share our experience, and try to look, and it's cool to kind of look professional. And if you notice, on Brooklyn Vegan, the night after I posted, their lead into the Meat Puppets review was about 2 paragraphs of my stuff.
Really?
Yes, and they linked right up to me, and they, Concert Confessions, here's my video, boom, boom, boom.
Oh, they linked you, though.
Yeah,
good deal. Okay.
They linked me up. Yeah, no, it was no foul business.
Nice.
Brooklyn Vegan knows what they're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
they know good journalism when they see it.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think like the same thing about how I like hearing your experiences, and like I wouldn't want to do a bad review either. Like my worst review is lukewarm, and that's usually on albums and stuff like that. I'm not gonna go see something if there's a chance I'm gonna hate it.
Yeah, who has money to do that nowadays? I mean, I don't even have time.
Yeah.
I don't have time to go out and see some band I'm not really sure of. Or I mean, like, and if I ever have a problem with like the band, it'll be like with the band's choice of, like 311 one time, I was mad at their like choice of songs or something. They played a bunch of new records.
Sure.
Yeah. And I was like, are you serious? But that just, we were having a bad night that night, I mean, sometimes that's what it is. And I get home, and when I get home, I stay up till, whatever, 5, 6, 7 a.m. And listen, we're not saying that that's normal. That's not normal behavior. But it's what I do, because if I go to sleep, I'm going to wake up and forget something.
Sure. Yeah, and like, is this the first concert you went to this year? I know it's been
Yeah,
okay.
It's been hard. It's been hard. I thought I was going to Stone Temple Pilots. Chris Kirkwood got me on the list, but Dean DeLeo failed to go to the person who has the list and tell them I was on the list.
Nice. And by the way, I am with you guys finally that Chester is a more professional singer to work with and to tour with nowadays. For a long time, I was hating the idea that Chester was singing these songs from, Core and all, Purple and Tiny Music and all that stuff. But now, after seeing that footage of Scott coming up with Vaseline and saying that they came up with it that day and then slurring his way,
I mean,
tone deafly through the thing and just limping to the finish line, it was like, okay, now I understand the DeLeo brothers. I can understand everything that's going on with them. So
yeah, it's not. I mean, listen, and Chester Bennington, like, if I was at his Wikipedia page, it's like his favorite bands growing up was was the Stone Temple Pilots, and I'm like, that's so funny that he's playing with those guys now. But yeah, I mean, listen, if he couldn't do it, I mean, if it wasn't even close, then I wouldn't be for it. I would say, hey, guys, you guys can get somebody else. But I'm sure, listen, they want to make money. They want to play the casinos now. They want to do that tour that, like what Alice in Chains does now.
Sure.
Alice in Chains plays like casinos, and they play sure things. They don't take chances anymore. Not since Black Diamond Sky. They do not take chances. And not a lot of bands do.
Well, I can see a similarity to Billy Corgan. I mean, he was finally done dealing with the apathy of his bandmates, realized he wrote most of the stuff, realized he's not getting any younger. Why not play big halls? Why not tour? Why not make that payday? And it's not all about a payday. It's just continuing the legacy, continuing the story. And it doesn't seem like they can continue the story with Scott Weiland anymore, or at least for a long while from now. So.
No, and one thing, for Scott Weiland to say he's been sober for 13 years, I don't believe that guy's been sober for 13 seconds.
Yeah, he said he was drinking anyways that night, but I think he was on Quaaludes and yeah.
Right. If he was drinking, how can he say he's been sober for 13 years? You were drinking. That shit is dangerous. I told some customer the other day, like, why don't you? I said I don't drink. They said why? I said because it's bad for you.
How about the guy from Filter? Did he throw Scott under the bus, or was he just Richard Patrick? They were saying some things back and forth.
Because isn't that an Army of Anyone thing?
I think so, yeah.
The Leo brothers and him, aren't they? Because the Leo brothers are good friends with the guys in Filter.
Sure.
So that, I mean, they, and that's that PNC show I went to in 2006 when Scott made us wait 2 hours for them to come out, and then, like, he couldn't even apologize. He was, like, slurring through his apology, and the DeLeos live in Jersey. They're from Jersey. They have family there. And they look bad.
Embarrassing. Yeah.
I brought one of my buddies who drove me, and he's not even into like rock and roll at all. And he was like, "What is going on here?"
He's ready to leave before the band goes.
Yeah, they were chanting "Scott O'Deed, Scott O'Deed." It was bad.
And it's a sad thing because I think Scott's a really talented guy. When he was on, he's one of the best frontmen of the 90s. And
he wrote some really great songs.
He wrote the songs. He's a great frontman, very charismatic. And I think that's why drug abuse doesn't hit the dumb guy. It hits the guy who's a little talented and tormented like that. So, And
the thing is, like, when the last couple of shows they played with Scott Weiland has a video screen in front of him with the lyrics to the songs that he wrote on it. He wrote those lyrics. He's not Steven Tyler, who's like 70 fucking years old. He's Scott. I mean, I know heroin and all, but
What is he? 45 at the most?
Yeah. Chester, who didn't write the songs, doesn't have a video screen. I was watching that show on it was streamed on Yahoo, not to. Oh, that night I was supposed to get in. I was streaming it from the ferry terminal on my phone. I love the future. But you mentioned Billy Corgan. I'm about to buy tickets to Pumpkins, Marilyn Manson, man. That's going to be fun. Jimmy Chamberlain's back with the Pumpkins, right?
That is amazing. That was news just yesterday morning. Chamberlain is back, and they had Tommy Lee on the last recording, but he didn't tour. I saw them last November with Brad Wilk, and Wilk's a beast, but he's Chamberlain's twice as talented, twice as jazz trained, but still metallic. Has so much muscle in his drumming. I think it's going to be amazing.
I mean, that wasn't the deciding factor of me going. I was just the other day I was looking up. Let me find out what day of the week that's on. It's on a Wednesday. I texted my buddy and I'm able to get off work, so texted my buddy Pam. Hopefully hit up PNC. It's a great summertime venue out here, the PNC Bank Art Center. It's got grass, it's got seats, it's outdoors. It's a good time.
Yeah, they're playing outdoors here to Northerly Island. I've never been, but I'll give it a try. And Marilyn Manson's new album actually is very strong. So then I got back into my 90s heyday of liking Marilyn Manson. I got his first, second, and third album. It's a great triptych, actually. A Portrait of an American Family, produced by Trent Reznor, really trashy, kind of based on Jerry Springer or something like that. Then Antichrist Superstar, the guy blows up. He's a huge superstar. He's the Antichrist. And then the third one, Mechanical Animals, which Billy Corgan helped co-write, and it's got a super slick production, but it still rocks, and there's a lot of great songs. Thought that was a great 1-2-3 punch for Marilyn. I think he's fell off sort of within the last decade, but I think this new one is the best stuff he's done since those three.
Oh, the new was the Pale Emperor, right? That's the new one. Yeah, no, that one is solid. Of the stuff I've heard from it, it's good. And when I go back and listen to the Manson catalog, I like more songs than I thought I did.
Yeah, he's definitely underrated as far as just being a good alt-rock band. And people thought he was more of a tabloid sensation or, shocking. It's really not that shocking when you go listen back to the first couple albums.
Right.
But yeah, I thought we would talk about your night at the Meat Puppets. You don't have to get into too much detail. We can send them right over to concertconfessions.com, and I'm sure you got that at jporks.com too.
Yeah, it's well, you know what? I link up. Yeah, jporks.com is where you get the podcast notes.
Nice.
And since I talked about the show on my podcast, there'll be a link to it. See, right now, the most recent confessions on concertconfessions.com, you got the Meat Puppets, then you got the Rolling Stones in Orlando, and before that you got Rob Zombie, and before that you got Tame Impala. So it's big things going on. Big things are happening, and you can check it out at concertconfessions.com. But on Monday night, what I did was I headed to the Bowery. I got the express bus. That's pretty good for me. Usually I'm like a bus to a boat to a train to a walk. This I paid $6.75 and I stayed on the bus. It took like an hour and I got off right smack dab in Midtown. So I got to the Bowery and I'm hanging out by the merch because they don't have a Soul Asylum didn't have a merch person or something was happening where the merch person wasn't there. So I was watching the merch for a little while. I got no issue. I sold 3 T-shirts actually. Go me.
Nice.
And so I'm watching the merch, and Shannon came up. So I see Shannon Sam, drummer of the Meat Puppets, and he says, "Did you see Gibby?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Gibby Haynes is here." I'm like, "No, he's not." And he's like, "You never met him?" I'm like, "No, I've never met." Like, are you under the impression that I'm cool? Because I'm not cool. I'm only cool when you guys like help me be cool. Man, so he's like, yeah, I'm looking for Gibby. So he goes, looks for Gibby. So the show starts. I hear like the first tones going on. So I run for a spot upstairs. I start recording stuff. Bowery Ballroom's air conditioning. It was like a 90-degree day, so to have the air conditioning by the end of the night where you're like cold and you want to go outside, that was awesome. That's the best feeling in an annoying hot summer.
I love it. Yeah.
And I mean, the Meat Puppets just turning shit out, kicking it off with the instrumental jam, because they like to mix me up is what they do, because they usually play I'm a Mindless Idiot and Seal Whales in the same set, and they're both instrumentals, and they play them so far apart that I can't differentiate them. So then when I go back, like at night, since I just got home and I'm writing the review, sometimes I may put one in the place of the other, and then somebody comments on it. Though the only time people comment is when you're doing something wrong. I noticed that.
Nice, yeah.
Whatever, it's okay. It's all right, guys. I love you and keep reading, but damn.
So yeah, Gibson Haynes, as his mother calls him, came out during the middle of the Meat Puppets set to do a Freddie Fender song. Yeah, he's a legend.
He's lead singer of Butthole Surfers, legend. This guy, and I gotta tell you, he is the art he has created. That is exactly the person he is in person. Like, you can stand next to this guy, and I'm not making fun of him at all. He's created some great work. You stand next to him for 5 minutes, and I could stand with anybody, say, what 80s/90s alternative band is that guy the lead singer of? Stand there 5 minutes, you're gonna say, Butthole Surfers.
Nice.
You're just gonna know. He's nodding the head constantly. And
sang on Jesus Built My Hot Rod, the only like big hit from Ministry from Chicago too.
No, and he's got and during Soul Asylum said they mentioned you can get our record when it comes out where record stores are, and everyone laughed. He's like, yeah, you can get it wherever Gibby Haynes and His Problem are available. Like,
Nice.
Getting nowhere. So Gibby Haynes on with Wasted Days, Wasted Nights, and Wasted Nights, a Freddie Fender song. They were covering all night. They did what was it, George Jones? What was it? Till the Last Teardrop Falls. That 7 Spanish Angels. They blow that shit up. That tiny little ditty. I looked it up.
Yeah, I wanted that one. We didn't get that one. We only got like one cover. I think our sets were a little shorter too because we were being streamed.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you were being streamed. Oh man. I remember watching that, being jealous and saying, "Damn, Andy's there, and I'm here in my house." And I'm like, well, pretty cool that I'm in the confines of my house and I get to watch this in the future.
Hell yeah! I hope that who was it, Google or Yahoo?
Yahoo Screen.
I hope they pay the bands, right? Or do they pay the venue? Or do you have an idea?
I was trying to ask somebody, but I couldn't run it. I didn't find anybody who I could ask that to when I was there. That's what I wanted to know, because I want that job. If they're streaming a show in the city tonight, I want to hold the camera. I can do that.
It's a huge camera too. Me and my buddy were like, that's got to be the Yahoo camera right there, because there was like 3 smaller cameras, and then there's one that looks like out of Jurassic Park or something, like a robot.
It's hanging, it's sliding around the room.
Yeah, it's craning its neck and looking at you and stuff. But yeah, that was an incredible thing. I would have loved to see Gibby Haynes. How about Soul Asylum? They definitely brought it for you, right?
Soul Asylum's always killing it, man. I mean, this band, I've seen them 3 times, and every time I see them, I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, these guys are playing way bigger than this room is. You know, these guys can be playing a way bigger place. It's very loud. It's big sounds. Dave Pirner, another great songwriter. Another great underrated songwriter. He's got a Grammy, so I guess he's not underrated. I mean, he has been given an award. But, you know, and they were just solid, you know, as they always are, having fun. They have fun up there. They made us wait for Runaway Train, which is cool. I like that. They've been playing it early the last couple times I saw them. Better to play it late because make people stay. Fuck that.
Sure, yeah.
Don't have people leaving. Like, even I had to pee, so I waited after Runaway Train. I went to pee. I didn't leave. I came back, but I still went to pee. It looked like I was leaving.
Nice.
I just want to tell everyone I wasn't that. Finished up like April Fools. And they played a couple of new songs because I saw Supersonic was on the set list, and I'm like, no way they're going to cover Oasis. They got a new song called Supersonic.
Nice.
It's awesome. It's a good song. It would have been cooler if they covered Oasis, but I mean, that was cool in itself.
Nice, but overall an awesome night for you, and concertconfessions.com, read the review. I checked it out. It's awesome. Yeah.
You got words, you got photos, you got videos. I mean, I got to tell you, for somebody who's not like a quote-unquote professional photographer, some pretty neat shots there. You know, just saying.
Yeah, those are awesome, and I joke that if you gave me the Hubble telescope, the band would still come out blurry. I take a ton of pictures, and they're always just a little fuzzy. I don't know if there's some sort of tutorial I could take to learn how to take better iPhone photos, but I suck at it. So.
My iPhone photos were the better photos of the night, rather than my $200 camera.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice. Well, I thought we would take a little break. We're going to talk about some cool things like the new Chris Kirkwood podcast, if I can spit it out. Favorite Pups albums, then I'll fill you in on my night. And, yeah, we'll be right back with Jay Porks after a word from our sponsors. This episode of The Andy Dare Show is brought to you in part by Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue in Westmont, Illinois. Family owned and operated since 1997, Uncle Bub's is the real deal barbecue. A family-friendly restaurant open 7 days a week. Also, it's a full-service catering company doing weddings, pig roasts, luau's, grill packages, you name it. They have a friendly, helpful staff that will make sure that your party goes off without a hitch. Call them at 630-493-9000. Visit them at 132 South Cass Avenue in Westmont, Illinois, and UncleBubs.com. Hey man, I know you like grilling. I know you like getting those dark grill marks on your burgers, fish, chicken. And I know you don't want to just dry your meat out like you're cooking with a hairdryer. Why not get the Man Grate and click through the AndyDareShow.com's banner so we can keep the lights on here at Honeycomb Hideout Studios in gorgeous Westmont, Illinois. The Man Grate. This episode of The Andy Dare Show is brought to you in part by Record Utopia, a music lover's dream with thousands of vinyl records, musical instruments, and sound gear. They buy, sell, and trade. Give them a call at 630-963-1957. Visit them in Westmont, Illinois at 309 West Ogden Avenue, on the web at recordutopia.com. It's always a good, relaxed atmosphere. Check them out, Record Utopia. All right, we are back with Jay Porks. You just heard about his night. You're going to be hearing about my night about 2 weeks ago. And but before that, an awesome new podcast, not affiliated with us, but affiliated definitely with the Meat Puppets. Chris Kirkwood, the founding bassist, has his own podcast up now called the Chris Kirkwood Podcast, and it's amazing. There's been about 6 episodes so far. Have you got a favorite episode of the Chris Kirkwood Podcast?
Well, I'm biased to the Mike Watt one because Mike Watt, I feel like I'm kind of friends with Mike Watt because I'm friends with a really good friend of Mike Watt, and I'm friends with Chris Kirkwood, so like I kind of feel like I know Mike Watt. But the first one is great too with Bob Forrest because they tell that John Frusciante story about when he shows up to Chris's house and Chris is living like his garage is like basically a drug den, like and John shows up and he's out of his mind and he doesn't know where he is and they're trying to take him to rehab and it's just good time. The Chris Kirkwood podcast was also something mentioned in the Brooklyn Vegan too. They got cited in there.
Oh, good. Okay. Nice.
It may not have been because I mentioned it in my show, but yeah, I saw Chris. I said, Chris, you think the podcast is great? He's like, I'm killing the podcast. I was like, that's so fucking funny.
Nice.
I mean, when you got, here's what you need. You know about the podcast. You know what it takes. It takes equipment and it takes stories. Those are two founding foundations.
You need both, yeah.
You need those things. I mean, you need a lot of other things, but you need those things. And being a musician and being in the Meat Puppets, you got both of those things. Without a doubt. This guy's been to jail. I mean, besides he's been in a band and he's been to prison and he's got so many things.
And shot, yeah.
He got shots. I mean, it's just great. After he hit the postal office cop guy with his own baton.
A lot of stories, a lot of legendary people mentioned. Mike Watt is amazing two-parter. Really, if you like bass guitar, you'll learn a lot about that. I like how he was talking about vocabulary with the bass guitar, about how you need to know how to pick, you need to know how to strum, slap, all that stuff. And Watt goes on to say, yeah, sometimes I do all three of those in the same song. I was like, that's incredible. Like,
crazy. Who's the one who said tunings for cowboys? Somebody said tunings for cowboys. Like, wow, all right, that's cool, you know?
Nice. Yeah, and the executive producer's Bill Cody. He's kind of like the glue that keeps this all together. He's got awesome stories, too. He's a guest on one of them. And, the guy made an awesome documentary about the Athens, Georgia scene way back in 87. And I swear I just got it on Amazon. I think it's shot on like a Super 8 camera. And with like a fuzzy microphone, that's a killer scene, too. Early REM. All these bands I hadn't really heard of too much, and it just seemed like everybody used to talk about how the 80s sucked. Watching these movies, learning about these bands, it was actually an awesome period for music. It's just that stuff didn't really get on MTV too much.
You had to find it.
Yeah.
It was if you searched hard, you could find good music. I mean, I wasn't there for the 80s. I wasn't really that old. But
me neither. But you did have to search, and we're not talking about a search engine.
Yeah, no, we're talking about college radio. We're talking about stations that even though you get the station, it's still fuzzy. So you have to deal with that's the best it's gonna be, and you have to enjoy it.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, people say they'd rather hear their records on vinyl. Like, I just want a radio station that plays good music. I mean,
nice. But yeah, they got some awesome guests lined up. They got an awesome sponsor lined up. This thing's gonna just blast off pretty soon.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be doing a little promotion for them. We're doing it here. Follow them on Twitter, Kirkwood Pod, and SoundCloud. Just Google SoundCloud, the Chris Kirkwood Podcast. They're looking on getting a domain, which is important.
And like them on Facebook, the Chris Kirkwood Podcast.
Sure. And I think an episode every week. And yeah, you got Keith Morris lately from Off and founding member of Black Flag.
yeah, you got that one. You got Wayne Kramer too. Wayne Kramer's a little too smart for me though. He was talking about some hard things. I think Neil Hamburger's on today.
Yeah, Neil Hamburger's on. And Keith Morris is great. I was talking to Bill Cody though. He's like, didn't really do much for our numbers to have this legendary punk guy on. And I'm like, why not? He goes, oh, he doesn't own a cell phone. He can't tweet it out or send anybody the link or do anything like that or email it to anybody. So they were pretty much stuck to themselves to promote that one. But it's a great episode. Once again, just check it out. Google the Chris Kirkwood Podcast once a week. It's highly recommended by us. So
yes.
How about your favorite Meat Puppets album?
Well, my favorite Meat Puppets album, you're not going to pin me down to one. But where I'm going to go to one that gets forgotten. Because I don't hear it a lot. And Forbidden Places.
Nice.
It's a solid record. And I'm actually going to get the track listing up right now.
I think that's song for song my favorite, too, actually. Whirlpool, Pop Skull, the title track, Nail It Down, is awesome.
Nail It Down. That's the song that one of the fans screamed out during the Nirvana Unplugged when they were warming up. Someone said, "Nail it down," and Kirk says, "Nail what down? What are you talking about?" He didn't know like that. It was a song. Like, I mean, I guess it,
They never play that one, right?
No, he was into me. No, they never play these. I don't. You know what? Do they play anything from Forbidden Places?
It doesn't seem like it. It kind of it's written off a little bit by them.
They play Sam.
Yeah, they play Sam. You're right.
And they play Open Wide. All right, they play Sam and Open Wide. You know what? I love hearing Open Wide live. I get excited when I hear that because it's very fast moving. And Sam is the song. I mean, Sam is the one that's faster than REM. The world as we know.
Yeah, dual rap by the guys. And if you listen to the Chris Kirkwood podcast, they talk about the recording of that one. They got to finally go to the Capitol Records studio in Hollywood and take their time recording it. And it's great. I guess it's their first major label album, I think, for London, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's their first label. It's their first record that's not on SST, which is why it's hard. They're trying to get it on vinyl. It's not on vinyl.
They don't own that recording, probably. Yeah.
Oh, I think. Well, yeah, that's something with. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff.
SST's a lot easier to deal with than major labels. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when they're not paying you in heroin anyway, I mean, they are.
But nowadays they're just releasing their stuff themselves, or on a small boutique label, or what are they on now? I don't even know. What was Rat Farm on?
You know what? I got it right here.
Which you got mentioned on in the thank you notes, right?
Oh yeah, Rat Farm, which I'm thanked on, by the way.
Megaforce?
Yeah, it's Megaforce.
There we go.
That's the wrong album. Yeah, they're on Megaforce. Megaforce is cool.
Yeah, that's a pretty well known label too.
Yeah, I mean they're not they're not on something big where people are just they record when they have songs. They record them. I mean. No pressure. And
I thought it was kind of cool that we picked the same one just randomly. That's pretty awesome. But yeah, now I'll get into my night. You can check my review. It's up now at andydarer.com. It took me like a week and a half to get it out because I'm talking to two different places where I can write for now. So we're seeing who wants what. And but yes, check out the review. I found a cool thing where I compare the careers of the two bands because their music doesn't sound anything alike.
No, it doesn't.
But their story is very similar. They both have their first album is the most punky material they've got. Loud, basic. It's recorded very rough, and they would kind of never really go back to that sound. Like the Meat Puppets don't really go into the hardcore punk really anymore. Maybe here and there on an album, but Soul Asylum, same story. They don't really go back to the hardcore punk stuff. April Fool is about as punk as they'll get nowadays. But then they both were on an indie label, SST for Meat Puppets.
They're both bigger. They both have singles that are huge that aren't anything like what the band is really about.
You're right.
Like Runaway Train isn't really what Soul Asylum. That's not what all their songs are. And I guess if you're counting Backwater as the Meat Puppets' biggest single, not every song is like that. Even though that's a great song, but I mean.
Yeah, and those songs were within the same couple years, and the bands were formed within the same couple years, and Soul Asylum would leave Twin Tone and go to A&M, and as we said, the Meat Puppets would leave SST, go to London Records for a while, and find huge success after the whole grunge boom, and so it's very similar story with their two careers. But I think it's cool that the Meat Puppets still have the same two brothers there. Now they got the kid Elmo with them. Soul Asylum, the one thing that lacked for me is that they only have Perner is the last man standing. Obviously, the bassist died of throat cancer, and Daniel Murphy is no longer with them. I'm not sure what he's up to nowadays. And the drummer. Here's a funny story for my night. So the guy is 400 pounds at least, maybe a little bit less than that. But he's setting up the drum kit. And I go with my drumming buddy, Nick, and I go, yeah, that's their drummer, don't you know? And he goes, yeah, right. That guy couldn't play through one song with those guys. Are you kidding me? I'm a drummer. I know what drummers look like. Guess what happened? He stayed, and it's Michael Bland, and he played with Soul Asylum. I should have known that. It turns out he's been with them for like 9 or 10 years already. So you've obviously seen them with Michael Bland before?
Yeah, I've seen them the other 2 times he's been the drummer. They've had the same time. I've only seen them the last 2 years. So gotcha. He's been there. He's been there both times. Yeah, because I remember thinking, wow, this guy's holding it down back there.
Yeah, and he actually beats up the drums pretty nice. I mean, on some of the faster songs, maybe he's a little lacking, but when Soul Asylum slows down on a couple of those, you're like, this guy's definitely got it. Then it turns out he's played with Prince for 10 years, too, so it's a whole Minneapolis thing. And
What happens in Minneapolis stays in Minneapolis, except when it's on tour with Soul Asylum.
And then I had this happen, which I didn't even mention in the review. You ever had the awkward 55-year-old man who's out of his mind and doing the crazy dances from the Grateful Dead parking lot? Right, and he's also really big. It's never a little tiny guy. It's always a guy that's like 6'6", runs about 250, and he's just blocking your view with terrible white guy dances. Like he's doing the invisible ball. He's going right up to people and dancing around them until they shrug him off and stuff like that. You ever had an annoying dancer?
You know what? I usually find myself either so far up front that's behind me, or recently I've been elevating myself to the second floor if that's available.
Smart,
because
yeah.
I cannot deal. Here's the thing. The problem with concerts is that other people are there with me. I hate people. Like, you're not totally on the same page as me. We're in different books. And I just, even when we leave a show, when there's like 3,000 people trying to exit through a little door, and I understand it's a wide group of people trying to get out this narrow door, but at the same time, I'm like, yo, I need to catch this ferry, and you need to hurry up, and everybody's drunk and falling down the stairs, and you guys are driving me nuts, and it smells like beer, and stop screaming at me.
Nice. Yeah, well, this guy was so annoying, but his one saving grace was he was mouthing the words along to Meat Puppets, so I was like, at least he knows good music. But then the annoying thing was, during Soul Asylum's set, he kept shouting during the in-between songs, "Go wash your hair." And people started saying, "Shut up, man. Would you shut the fuck up?" And it was just so annoying. I was like, Nick, I got to get away from this guy. I got to find higher ground or something like that.
Go wash your hair?
Go wash your hair. And we're like, just shut up. To Perner,
Yeah, he's the only one there.
Yeah, you're right. And so he's just so annoying. And then what happens is I get followed by Neanderthal tall people. I'm 6 foot, so I'm not exactly a midget, but I'll get the basketball team shows up and surrounds me, and I'm just wherever I go, I'm shadowed by the tallest people. I'm like, man, these guys have a really tall fan base.
Only tall people go to concerts. Short people don't go. I don't understand. They're always right in front of me. And come on. I'm 5'9", 5'10", maybe.
Not short, yeah.
It's not, I'm not like a, little short guy, but I'm not a homunculoid, but I'm not tall. I'm not on the basketball team. I can't even do a good layup. But geez, I don't know how that happened to me at the Offspring, but I was getting banged into by the time
Nice.
that show started.
Yeah, but all in all, an awesome show. Great pairing. Mine, as I said, was streamed on Yahoo, so we got a little bit of a shorter, condensed set, I think, on both sides. But strong outing from both the bands. My first time seeing Soul Asylum. I've been a fan of theirs since like '93 with Grave Dancers Union, so that was a cool thing. We'll definitely check out Soul Asylum again, and Meat Puppets, I'm a Lifer. I think that was my third time now. But yeah, I've had actually a pretty busy year in concerts. Before we go, I'll fill you in. Local H at Tailgaters Bar in Bolingbrook. This is one of the weirdest things. I know that you had problems with Scott Lucas with a flashbulb before. Mine, he took it to another level. Thankfully not for me. But there's a guy in the front row, had to be about 50 years old, with the phone out, and Scott gave him an evil eye, and I felt like, oh, something's going down, like the room got cold or something like that. I'm like, uh-oh, I had a premonition. Then he keeps rocking for about another 60 seconds, walks right over the guy, grabs it out of his hand, and whips it behind the drummer about 25 feet. And everybody's kind of laughing. I think Scott he got out of it okay by apologizing to the guy, by saying that he just wants everybody to put him away for a couple songs, just live in the moment. Yeah.
That's understandable, but you just threw somebody's phone. And listen, and the problems with Scott Lucas that I've had only are this: he yelled at me, and I accepted it, and that's all I can do. He puts that record is great. I can't be mad. But like every time I think of it, I'm like, man, this record's great, but why'd you have to yell at me, man? It just got me so mad. He was like 2 feet from me, and he could have done a lot worse. What in case he mistakes my camera for a phone, takes it and smashes it? I'm out. I don't have insurance on that, nothing. And he can apologize all he wants. That's not going to make up for it. But I understand, like, that everybody's on their phone, but I also understand that I got to try to focus on watching the stage. And if somebody's phone isn't blocking my view, then I got no real beefs with it. I mean, the Firefly Festival was on Palladia on cable this weekend. It was streaming, it was on cable as it was live in Delaware. And it's a sea of phones. I mean, those people are there to take drugs. I mean...
Yeah, the cat's out of the bag in 2015, and I've had people say, "Oh, that's a complete asshole move," which I don't think. I think he just got a little bit carried away.
He's a very high-strung guy, and I don't know why. I'd love to know why.
I thought he might have been a sober individual, but then I did see him chugging beers, so no, it's not that. Yeah,
I don't think he drinks to like he just drinks like regular, and I don't think he does anything else. He watches movies, or as he would call them. Films.
Yeah, nice.
Film.
But yeah, so I posted my review of that, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I get a tweet from Scott Lucas saying, "There is nothing more important than cell phone rights," and that's all he said to me about it. But pretty funny story. Great show. That's what in the review I put that as that was the saving grace. It was such a great show. Incredible new drummer. I would totally recommend Scott Lucas and Local H for the rest of their Hey Killer tour.
I do. They are awesome.
Yeah, another one, Primus, doing their Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. This was not of my recommendation. This is a buddy who got the tickets for me, and I was saying, oh, geez, I really hope it's not just that and no other songs, like that. However, Les Claypool is a smart guy, realizes you got to play the hits. If people are paying $40, you got to play the hits. So they did. The first set was all classics. Second set was the entire Willy Wonka. Third set was 3 encores of classics. So they totally brought it back with their original drummer, too.
They've got a lot of, like, visual things going on, right? I mean, they're really weird live.
Well, it was hilarious because they have these 2 Oompa Loompas, which is just a humongous Oompa Loompa head, and then the guy comes out wearing this huge styrofoam head and then bops up and down to the beat. It's like a recurring theme. And then they have a video going on the background, and all of a sudden you see the Oompa Loompas catching the L train in Chicago earlier that day or something. They're going around Millennium Park. The Oompa Loompas are like living or having their day around Chicago. So I was like, that's hilarious. Sense of humor. Great band, and one of the most versatile bassists I've ever seen. So weird he tried out for Metallica in the 80s.
Wow, I did not know that.
And he said he knew, he's like, I love the guys in Metallica, but I knew I didn't have it right when I left there because he wanted to jam on a funk song, and Metallica just looked at him like, are you fucking kidding me?
That sounds like a meme, like, Metallica jam on a funk song, and you see them just staring at him like they're not saying anything.
Like the record scratches or something, yeah. But yeah, this guy's incredible, and it's all these bands I've seen, I just realized they have all had hits within the first 5 years of the 90s. I also saw Cracker. They had a hit with Low. I saw Scott Lucas, maybe 1996, but Soul Asylum, Meat Puppets, Primus, all of those bands. I like seeing bands that have been around the block for a while. They've proven their skills. They've built their fan base. I'm always interested in hearing about new bands, but to be honest, I'm more interested in the stuff that's been around. So
if you have a good song, I'm gonna hear it eventually. That's just how it is for me. The days of searching for music. I mean, in this world of 2015, where I can order something from Amazon and get it to my house in an hour. I mean, in IRL, in real life, you can do that. I mean, in this
a drone
world,
comes and drops it off for you.
Drones are going to be bringing us packages, and that's just what it's going to. This is the future. So, like, music is all like SoundCloud is huge for people who rap that haven't made it. Like everyone's got a mixtape on SoundCloud.
Sure.
Like, you can tweet something like, oh, man, I'm so sick of my job right now, and I'm really having a hard time. And somebody will tweet at you, cool story, bro. Check out my mixtape, though.
Nice.
And it's like, they don't care. You get that all the time. There's all sorts of stuff happening on SoundCloud. Like, there's all sorts of new music that, if it's out there and it becomes available, someone with a good ear is going to give me the hat tip to it.
Yeah, like a rock band that's young. They're like 20, 21. They grew up right by kind of near my house, went to my record store, the Orwells.
Yeah.
They bring it live. They're a great new hype. I
heard of them before you mentioned it, so there you go.
They've been on like David Letterman. They were on there 3 times before Dave left, and great lead singer. It's Mario Cuomo is his name, which is funny for you. And but just like an albino guy with white hair and just has like the Axl Rose attitude. However, I mean, they might be so good where they screw it for themselves, which could definitely be a possibility, either like with drugs or, wanting all the royalties or something like that. And but the Orwells are great. Otherwise, yeah, I like the stuff I liked when I was 12, and doesn't seem like that's going to be changing.
I mean, and to the rest of the world, sorry, I'm not listening to Meghan Trainor. The only Taylor Swift I'm listening to is when the Screaming Females cover it.
Sure. Nice.
I mean, I don't care what she has to say about Apple Music, and I like streaming services, and fuck you if you're not with it, and that's just how it is.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's a great note to end on. jporks.com, you get the show notes, you get the podcast, they're always on YouTube. Check them out. At jporks on Twitter, at jporks on Instagram, concertconfessions.com.
For all your live music news and reviews for the fans, by the fans.
Any shows on the horizon, or I know you got your 2-year anniversary coming up for the J-Porks Experience, which we post either every Tuesday or Wednesday night here on the Dare Network, and I want to thank you for taking the time out to do that every week. It's thoroughly entertaining stuff.
Depending on like how fast my life is falling apart during the week, it'll be on Tuesday night or Wednesday night.
Nice.
But I mean, yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun doing it, and like I got a couple of shows on the horizon. Like I said, I'm thinking about going to Smashing Pumpkins, Marilyn Manson at PNC in July, and I actually, what is a definite is Chris Cornell at the Beacon Theater solo acoustic. I bought that ticket.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
That's gonna be so great. That guy is a master of the solo acoustic performance, man.
I've never even seen him live, not even Audio Slave or Soundgarden. I would love to see that. Hopefully that's a tour that's going around. So.
Yeah, I think it is.
Nice. Well, I'll keep you updated with my shows I'm seeing. You can check out all my stuff at andydare.com. Yeah, any last words, Jay?
No.
Nice. Well, on behalf of Jay Porks, this is Andy signing off for the Andy Darer Show. Be sure to follow Andy on Twitter. That's at Andy Darer. And like our show on Facebook. That's facebook.com/The Andy Darer Show. Videos at youtube.com/Andrew Martin Darer. And we're on iTunes. Just search The Andy Darer Show. Please leave a review. Thanks so much to our wonderful sponsors, Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue, Record Utopia, The Band Great, and Amazon.com. Theme song courtesy of Rich Banks Music. Thank you so much for checking out The Andy Darer Show. TheAndyDareShow.com.